All right, you go.
Rolled a 6.
That is Prospect Place. Pay me.
Fuck. Okay, here.
Thank you.
Okay, you go.
That is a 5. I pass go. Give me $200.
Ooh, no. You can't have it this time.
Why? No, yes.
Because your account has been flagged for identity theft.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Don't be a dick. Give me $200.
I can't do it. The account is locked. You can take it up on appeals on Monday when the local branch opens.
The fuck is this? This is exactly what I was talking about.
Hey,
you fucking son
I'm
of a
the
bitch.
bank.
Fucking
you can
time.
go online. You can appeal the decision.
What do you mean?
You can talk to the
I'm not gonna go.
the district manager.
This is Monopoly.
Listen,
Monday is a federal holiday. I can't even go till Tuesday, and then I'm working all day.
it's not my fault that this is the way the system works. Okay, somebody flagged the account.
And it
is shut down.
Is there a 24-hour hotline?
You're gonna
I can
have
call?
to.
Is there a customer service line?
That you can't. It's not 24 hours. It's only Monday through Friday. Business hours only, and your debit card's been canceled.
Fuck. Sorry, I lost it on that one.
Your debit card has been canceled, and you can't access your joint accounts anymore.
Oh my god, this is. You know what? I don't want to fucking play Monopoly anymore. God damn it.
You want to play Risk?
Yeah, Risk kind of fucks.
Yeah, Risk fucking rules. Let's go.
Let's do it. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Delete Everything Podcast, our fun for all ages family game where you're going to get pissed off and flip over the table because you don't know all of the lost, omitted, and deleted rules that are part of the game. And so you're fucking losing. You're losing.
You don't know all the lost, omitted, and deleted techniques to control your anger problem.
My name is Patrick Wall, and with me, as always, my great uncle on my mom's side,
Riley Bowen.
Thank you first and foremost to anybody who left us any reviews, went on and watched some YouTube shorts, fucking left us
somebody
a
who
comment
watched a fuckload of YouTube shorts.
Yeah, we got some views on there. Left a comment on Spotify. Whatever you've done to help us, you are fucking awesome, and we really like you. If you have not done that yet, it really, really, really does help us. It helps us chart-wise. It helps us visibility-wise. It's the one thing that you can do very easily, and it's kind of, it's not very committal. You just help out and go on there and go, yeah, these guys rule. If you don't think we rule, then don't worry about it. But if you want to do 5 stars or leave a comment or whatever, awesome. We like that.
Big shout out today to our newest Patreon member, Kelly McSorley.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to the party, pal.
Well, I was going to mention that when we got to the Patreon part of my plug, but that's okay. You jumped the gun.
Well, we don't rehearse this.
If you have not yet, please follow us on Instagram at Delete Everything Podcast. You will find photos and all kinds of fun shit from each one of these episodes, whether it's this one or a different one that you want to see.
If you look
there
through,
it is.
If you look through the hashtags on every post and circle the center letter of every hashtag, it spells out a secret message.
Just for you.
Just for you.
Also, we have, what else? What are the other things that I have to plug here? We've got, Patreon. Patreon's the big one. If you have listened to all of our episodes, if you really love our podcast, we do bonus episodes every week. They're usually about 45 minutes, 45 plus weekly of just us, sort of, sometimes current events, sometimes random shit that doesn't warrant a full 2 hours. And it's a little more loosey-goosey. We have a little bit more fun.
I have a lot of fun with the Patrons because, like today, the one that we did was just like, here's an interesting fucking concept that popped up that I didn't know about from Japan. This is a way people live and believe.
Yeah. So, we had a fun one today. And, like Riley said, we've got Kelly. Kelly, new in the mix to our Patreon.
Kelly McSorley, thank you for joining.
We appreciate that. Kelly is an executive producer of our show now because that's the way we get paid. Legitimately, guys. It's the only way we get paid. So everything else we do for you guys, we do because we love it, and we hope that you love it back. But if you want to, man, fucking Patreon's not that expensive. It's the equivalent of I don't know, KFC. What was the sandwich where they got rid of the buns and they put the chicken as the buns and then they put like cheese in between? Do you
I don't
remember
know, but that sounds fucking horrifying.
It was horrifying.
What hath God wrought?
It's gone now. I'm sorry.
Is that the chicken skin crisper or whatever?
I don't remember what it was called.
The fury of the South.
The KFC fucking make sure you hold this sandwich with napkins
Or
a glove.
I feel like a lot of fast foods should be named like power attacks from animes. You know?
Did I send you the thing that I saw? It was a ad from Japan. I think it was Burger King, where they did like a whole Street Fighter like.
No, I don't think you did send me this one.
Commercial for it. Oh, so cool. I'll show it to you. I'm pretty sure I saved it. So, anywho, that's the end of the intro. We hit all the notes, right? Yeah, we hit all the notes.
Hey, thanks for everyone.
How you doing this week, bud?
Fuck. I don't know. You know what? Life finds a way.
When Riley walked into the studio today, I was here before he was. Drew's unfortunately not here with us today, but so I was sitting in the studio by myself. And he was like, "How you doing, bud?" And I turned around from the computer chair. I did like the slow, the slow evil villain turn, and I was like, the world is a vampire, and that's how we started our interaction today.
Well, I came into the studio today about 8 minutes after I had smashed out one of the windows of my own car with a hammer. So, and that has been possibly the least stressful thing that I've done in the past few days. So.
No, that's not good. But I've had a lot of work stuff. I've had a crazy work week. So, or last week was a crazy work week. This week is the day before I start another crazy work week. But tomorrow through Saturday, I am just what's a good metaphor? Balls to buckets. What, I don't know.
Balls to buckets.
I'm making one up.
Fucking huh?
What's the what?
Fucking Kings to Danton. That is a saying that I have heard someone use.
Kings to Danton.
Kings to Danton. I've tried to research it and I don't know what it means.
That sounds like one person said it and they made it up and they're the only person who said it.
You know who it is?
Who?
Take a guess.
Brian Velez.
Yeah. It's fucking Kings to Danton.
I have never heard him say that.
It is something though, because I remember it when he said it. I was like, "Fuck, that's like an archaic, like old timey ass thing to say." Like that old chestnut.
I do,
but I have no fucking idea where it comes from.
I do not remember that at all.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere in there.
I don't think I've ever heard him say it. So, at any rate, you want to
get a picture of his voice. Yes,
Kings to Danton.
Yeah, it's fucking Kings to Danton. Flowers for Algernon, Kings to Danton.
It sounds like a band or a book.
Yeah, maybe it is. All right, what are we talking about today?
This week is a little interesting.
Yeah.
So we're doing a little bit different of a thing. We're doing a psychological experiment that has some sort of societal, moral implications, some questions about how people conduct themselves in certain scenarios, basically.
Okay.
This one's called the Rigged Monopoly Experiment. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
Well, you hadn't until you have through me recently, but
yeah, but I ain't be listening to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that with all my heart. So,
what did I just do? Was that Chris Tucker from Rush Hour?
Maybe. So this is one of the more fascinating social psychology studies from the past decade. This is a little over a decade old. 2012 is when this was conducted. So there have been a lot of studies, there's been a lot on the ass end of this study. So the Rigged Monopoly study was not about the game of Monopoly per se. It was basically how power and privilege change people's behaviors. They shape how people act toward one another. They just have an effect, right?
I've never noticed.
Well, because obviously we live in a time and place where there's a lot of conversation about privilege and it makes people bristle. Understandably so. I get from people who are being accused that, frequently we hear the term white privilege. And I certainly know plenty of white people who have earned everything that they've gotten. They've struggled very hard. So I understand why people bristle when they hear that term and go, wait, I've fucking worked my ass off. What are you talking about? And we can go into the ins and outs of what it actually means and how it gets mistranslated, and that is what causes people to get upset. We don't need to do that necessarily. I don't think. I don't want to.
But you don't want to focus on like white privilege.
I don't want to focus on.
Because I can talk about it. Because I done got it.
Yeah,
I got plenty of it.
I don't want to
Still
focus.
poor. I'm very poor.
Yeah, I don't want to focus on sort of current events too much or current political climate stuff too much.
What my white privilege has manifested itself as most directly that I can point at?
What's that?
Is that if I'm walking around, happily in my interracial marriage,
Sure.
and an old Southern lady like looks at us disapprovingly, I can look at her and go, "What the fuck are you looking at?"
And not worry about being shot
worry
by
about
the
it
police.
at all. Walk away, you old bitch. And she just goes, hey, man.
I'm in an interesting demographic where I am white presenting.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you hear my voice, even
You hear your voice, you're very white presenting.
if you if you interact with me, but I look very. I don't even know that I look very Latino. I get asked very frequently if I'm Persian.
Yeah.
I think I present.
Because all the cologne.
I think I present kind of Persian.
You do kind of,
which was not great in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. I can tell you from experience.
Have you been following the fucking mayoral race in New York?
Just a little bit.
We'll talk about it a little bit later, but
Yeah.
but Andrew Cuomo specifically said in a debate the other day, is like, you really got to have experience in things like this if you're going to run New York in case of like a 9/11 or something.
Oh my god, that guy wasn't even okay. Never mind. So
I'm sorry. I'm going to digress real quick on this one. I know contemporary stuff. I'm not going to associate with it. Everybody knows who I'd vote for in this race. It's whatever. But like Zoran Mondami, Andrew Cuomo, and God, the fuck's his first name?
some other guy.
Silwa,
Some
who's
other
the guy
guy
who
who's not gonna
founded
win.
the guy who founded Guardian Angels, who's like
Right.
a true New York eccentric.
Right.
And the question in the debate was like, have you ever like purchased marijuana? And Mondami is just kind of like, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I've bought marijuana at a legal dispensary.
Right.
I'm an American. And Andrew Cuomo goes, no. And Silwa goes, well, after I got shot 5 times in the back of a yellow cab, medical marijuana was the only thing that would calm me.
Jesus Christ.
The Gamboni crime family tried to take me out. So, yeah, I've smoked marijuana.
That's awesome. Well, I can say from experience that there have been times where I have been profiled and I don't.
What, like by like Us Weekly?
By the FBI sex crimes unit. No, by law enforcement. There have been times where I've felt like, why are you coming in this hot? And, they see me and then I'd start talking and whatever. And then I can usually diffuse the situation if it's a police officer who's acting slightly unprofessionally. Anywho.
Hey, I got profiled.
I'm not jealous of anybody who has to deal with that on a regular basis.
I got profiled for being white one time. Just because
that happens too.
Because I was walking down the street wearing camouflage pants with shoulder length hair, just unkempt, carrying a gun.
A fake gun.
It was a fake gun, yeah.
It was a fake
but
gun.
that was a lot of cops. They knew exactly. They were like, nope.
All right, so let's jump into this. Rigged Monopoly experiment. Okay?
I fucking hate Monopoly.
You know what's funny is that is one game that like my family refuses to play with me because I'm usually real good at keeping my cool. There is something about Monopoly. Well, it's also because my son will go out of his way to get everybody to like gang up against me.
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, stoic about it. And then I start getting upset. And then I'm kind of like, okay, about it. And then eventually I'm just like, this is fucking bullshit. and it's the one game that like just fucking gets my goat every single time. And so like now if, holidays and stuff like that, when the family's all together, if it's like a game night situation, it's like somebody will touch Monopoly and be like, nope. Put that one back.
My strategy with Monopoly is always, I'm just going to play to get as much as I can without really like interacting too much with like the whole experience.
Right.
And then whoever's the biggest dick, I will give my money to whoever's opposing them. I'll be like, oh, I died of a sudden heart attack, but you were in my will. Bam, there's all my money, which is absolutely legal in Monopoly to just give everything to somebody.
And devastating to that person.
Crush the other person. Because the other person gets so fucking upset. It's not fair. Like,
That's what I should do.
None of this is fair.
That's what I should do. Yeah. It's a strange game it's a strange thing to have a game about doing a thing that's illegal.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was illegal when it started, when the game came out.
It was like, let's just sort of consolidate all the power into one person. What could go wrong? There's free parking.
Today, I think it would just be called Kill the Poor. Would be the
Today it would be called What's Happening Right Now. Look up Procter & Gamble.
Procter & Gamble law firm?
What?
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Okay, so let's jump into this. So in 2012, right?
Yeah.
A social psychologist named Paul Piff, he was a psychologist at UC Berkeley, ran a series of studies where pairs of strangers would play Monopoly, just two people, right?
Yeah.
And
it's hard to play Monopoly with just two people.
It is, but there was a little something extra thrown in there. The game was rigged, and it was rigged from the start, and it was rigged with the player's knowledge, right? So, with a flip of a coin, one player was randomly assigned to be the quote-unquote rich player. The other was assigned as the quote-unquote poor player, right?
Ooh.
Right from the gates,
right.
They said they would take, and they did this experiment a couple hundred times, I think. I've got the numbers in here, I believe, but they did it with like hundreds of people, right? And so, right, like I said, as you're sitting down at the table, hey, this is what's going to happen. One of you is going to be the rich player. One of you is going to be the poor player. We're flipping this coin. That's going to determine who's who, right? Mm-hmm. The rich player started with twice as much money. So I believe normally you start with $200 in Monopoly.
Right.
The rich player started with $300.
This immediately makes me angry.
Yeah.
And I would just want to fucking kneecap the one that because I don't know if anyone knows this about me. I just fucking hate anyone who has more than I do. Like you might be one of my closest friends. Maybe I love you dearly, but if you've got like a comfortable home and like 2 cars, I fucking hate you.
Are you saying that you hate me?
No, I have a comfortable home and 2 cars actually.
Okay. So I'm sorry. You
only have 1 car.
I do only have 1 car. Now, I had 2 recently.
I've got 3.
I'm sorry. Normally, you start with $1,500 per the rules of Monopoly. The rich player would start with $2,000, and the poor player would start with $1,000.
Oh, fuck.
Which is doable. I mean, like, normally you start with, like I said, the $1,500, and, right out the gates, you can't really get anything of value without, if you want to clear out your entire fucking account, I guess you could, but then you're kind of boned. So normally when you play Monopoly, I think most people's strategy is snatch up the cheap properties all the way up to like the orange, the St. James and those.
Right.
And don't go too hard for like the Marvin Gardens and the boardwalks and the park places and stuff, because then you'll clear your shit out and then you're fucked. You want a couple loops around the board before you start buying that shit.
Yeah.
So the rich player would get $2,000, the poor player would get $1,000 instead of $1,500 a piece. The rich player would also get double the salary when passing go. So normally you get
$400
normally
for
you get
passing
$200.
go?
Yeah, the rich player would get $400.
Fuck that.
And the rich player could roll 2 dice instead of 1.
God damn it.
And they could opt whether or not they wanted to. They could go, I just want to do, like, say I'm getting close to Park Place, I'm just going to roll 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want
in the middle of the game, somebody would bring them like moist towelettes.
Yeah, just wipe their ass for them.
Hey, you awesome.
Right. Sparkling water.
A foot rub.
So yeah, they could roll 2 dice instead of 1, so they could move faster around the board, right? In the meantime, the poor player got none of those advantages. So they started off with less money. They only got 200 when they passed go instead of the double amount of 400. They're only able to roll 1 die. So they, like I said, they did this experiment a whole bunch of times, and a researcher would watch through a one-way mirror while people were playing
in a white lab coat, like scribbling little notes.
Probably. It's very official, as UC Berkeley, But they're watching and taking notes on the player's behavior and tone and bodily language.
Then afterwards, they'd execute them both and take brain samples.
That would be cool.
Like, what were the effects on the brain?
Yeah. Just UC Berkeley has no more students by the time this is done. So at first, while these experiences, and this is pretty consistent through the whole, there's a TED Talk with Paul Piff, and it's pretty cool. If you want to watch it, it's cool. If you don't, then that's cool too. We're here to give you all the information.
We'll link it on our YouTube.
No, we won't.
Okay.
If Drew wants to, he can, but I'm not doing that. Drew probably doesn't want to either. He's got enough to do.
Watch me, bitch.
So at first, both players sort of like, were interacting, laughing awkwardly. You have to assume a lot of these people were strangers. You're playing a deliberately rigged game with a stranger. So awkward laughter. Both people know that it's unfair and that, this is sort of rigged in one person's defense. But yeah, okay, whatever. But after time went on into
somebody
the game,
flips the fucking table.
and if I had been part of this, it 100% would have happened. If I had been there. So after a while, some patterns start to emerge. And like I said, this is pretty consistent through hundreds of people doing this experiment. The rich players tended to become louder and more dominant, sort of, just peacocking a little bit whenever something would happen. They took up more space. They kind of made themselves bigger.
Stunk up the room with their cigars.
Put on a cap with a green visor. They would move their pieces more aggressively. Like when they would move, they'd be like tap, 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 tap around like, for each number. Like that was a very consistent thing. They would talk about their strategy, quote unquote, very frequently.
Oh yeah.
And would
in my new book, How I'm Winning at Monopoly Without Any Help.
Yeah, they would like brag about how well they were doing, talk about their strategy, and they would almost appear to be attributing their success to some sort of skill on their part. And they would even frequently show less empathy for the losing player. I watched a video where the guy's like, "How many 500s do you have?" And the guy's like, 2. And the other guy's like, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 7.
And then he called him like a racial epithet.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you not understand how and why? Like it just, it's such a strange thing to watch some of the videos of this experiment because, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't do it, but it's strange how quickly the person in the rich player, I mean, you gotta, okay. And at the end of me going through this study, we are going to talk about sort of a lot of the aftermath type shit, right? One of the things that is sort of resounding here is that these are college kids. Yeah. These are college kids, and it's a study for the college, and it's a game. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot at stake here. Nobody's walking out with a trophy. Right. But for the sake of this experiment, pretty fucking interesting, right?
Yeah.
In the meantime, while all this is going on, the poor players tended to grow quieter, more subdued, some of them visibly frustrated, and they really, like, after a little bit, they stopped calling out the unfairness of the system.
Oh, because it was just in their face. It's like, we know.
Yeah, like in the beginning, they'd be like, yeah, well, okay, you get 400, cool. Oh, you're rounding this board at twice the rate that I am. But after a while, it was just so like, well, I guess this is, I got to deal with what the rules are, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up about it. Yeah,
I mean, well, that's all experiments like this are always just like reflections on society.
And that, right, that's what this was designed to be, obviously.
So like, that would always, I would assume that would just be phase 1 before, a continuing game will just lead to a level of frustration that could only end in murder.
Yeah, midway through the experiment, the researcher would wheel in a guillotine.
The researcher wheels in a bat and a sandwich. Just leaves it right there next to him. And the person who's winning goes like, "Hey, you want to split that sandwich?" The guy's like, "How about I get the whole fucking sandwich?"
Hey,
the bat beats him to death.
Hey, you need some 500s? I'll give you 3 of them for that bat. So here's the takeaway, or one of the takeaways. At the end of the game, the researchers would ask the winners, sort of sidebar, not with
the other. Did you
have fun? Did you have fun and give your all? Leave it all out on the field? No, so they'd take the winners aside and they would say, "So why do you think that you won?" Even though, and again, consistently, almost with 100% consistency, even though they knew what the rules were and that the rules had been stacked in their favor, most of the rich players credited their skill, their cleverness, their strategy, and completely downplayed.
They just talked about how cool they were, how big their dicks were.
Yeah. Well, I attribute my success to the size of my big old schwanz. with decent sized balls too, by the way. Let's not forget those. No, they would downplay the baked in advantage, the obviously rigged nature of this game, and say, yeah, I mean, I had this strategy where I was going to do this and take this and do, and so I made sure to go after this first, and then, I knew he was going to take this one, so I let him have, I let him have the cheap one because I knew I could get
a
over
little bait and switch here.
Yeah, like literally.
I knew that if I kept him down, that he'd have no choice but to supply me with money.
What are those? Baltic Avenue, the first one.
Yeah, I just relegated him.
I
to
knew
the
that
slums.
if I took all the good properties, he would have to live at Baltic Avenue with his cheap ass.
Well, this is. I mean, it's psychological experiments like this have been done 1,000 times. Like, you're familiar with the Stanford prison experiment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For those that aren't aware, the Stanford prison experiment was a psychological study conducted in 1971 by this guy Philip Zimbardo at Stanford University. It aimed to investigate how people conform to social roles, particularly the roles of prisoners and guards, and how power and authority affect behavior. Like,
and how quickly it corrupts.
Yeah, essentially, it's like you just wanted to see how ordinary people would behave when given power over others, and whether abusive behavior in prisons was due to like individual personalities, like, oh, we got the criminals on one side and the good guys on the other,
right,
or the prison environment itself was like the thing that led to, like tension, strain, conflict, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 24 male college students that were chosen to be psychologically healthy, and it was all conducted in the basement of Stanford's psychology building.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. So it was like kind of chilly.
So it made it,
and,
it made it give you that sort of prison vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Dank,
All fucking like cinder block.
Mm-hmm.
And it was turned into a mock prison. And then all the roles were randomly assigned. Half were guards and half were prisoners. And it went on, or it was planned to go on for 2 weeks. The guards were given uniforms and sunglasses like to prevent eye contact with the prisoners.
Interesting.
And they were given batons.
Interesting.
Which is a big one. And the prisoners wore smocks and ID numbers and had very limited rights. Within a few days, the guards began to act authoritarian and abusive.
Mm-hmm.
They were humiliating and punishing prisoners. Prisoners became submissive, anxious, depressed, and some even had like emotional breakdowns.
Wow.
And the situation spiraled so badly that Zimbardo, acting as the prison superintendent, initially failed to intervene in the first like run of tests where things started going south. The experiment was shut down after only 6 days due to ethical concerns. After like fucking,
we got a bunch of kids sleeping in a cell in our basement.
yeah, weird like humiliating abuse and like fucking like failure to conform to what the guards wanted would lead to like guards doing weird shit.
Interesting.
There was like forms of like sexual abuse. They'd like strip the prisoners and
Really?
shit. Yeah, because
didn't
they
know
were
about
like
that.
it was authoritarian. They're like they weren't beating them,
Right.
but you could tell they wanted to. But it was just like a weird humiliation.
Right.
Ritual.
Whatever. Which
Like college,
Which by the way,
and then they smack one ass with a towel. Like it was college.
Right. By the way, which means that if they had been allowed to beat them, they probably would have.
Yeah, almost definitely.
Yeah, I know the experiment. I didn't know the specifics. Like I didn't know they did it in the basement.
It's now thought of as deeply unethical for some reason. But
for some reason.
But it also had like a lack of informed consent. Like participants weren't told how extreme it was going to get. But to be fair, the fucking
researchers
professors didn't know either. Yeah. Like there was definite psychological harm that happened. Zimbardo's role as the researcher and the warden really like blurred boundaries.
Okay.
Because his failure to intervene in some of these like abuses could also be viewed as him pushing the experiment to
in
an
a certain
extreme.
direction. Yeah.
And later reports suggested some guards were coached to act like particularly tough, which really undermines like spontaneity
That kind of
and
fucks
study.
your whole study up. Yeah.
But it influenced prison reform debates and inspired works like The Experiment, the movie, and The Stanford Prison Experiment, which is another movie.
Okay.
That one has Adrian Brody.
I mean, I will say, yeah, maybe him acting as the warden and the head researcher could have, pushed the experiment in a certain direction. However, when you look at the way that prisons conduct themselves, maybe the whole experiment was pretty on the nose.
It was more than on the nose. I think that prisons specific, like I know that study was integral in like prison reform.
Right.
In a way, but reformation
Well,
doesn't necessarily mean like fixing.
At the time, also, all of the prisons in this country, as far as I'm aware, were all publicly funded.
Yes.
Now
now
we
things are-
have a lot
Things are a little different.
of Yeah.
For
privately owned, for-profit prisons.
Yes, which
which presents a whole different thing, because when you are incentivized to keep people in there,
for-profit incarceration is slavery. That is, I mean, that's not. I really don't think that's me taking like a social stance. I think that is a pretty clear observation on ownership and leasing of a human person.
for sure.
Yeah. Like the idea that a prison can profit from incarceration and the state can profit from the coercion of people to pay certain like fines, taxes, tickets, shit like that.
Right.
Like if the state can profit from people paying fines and the lack of payment on those can still lead to the profit of somebody in the incarceration. I mean, that's really just a person bought and paid for.
Also important to note that the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, carved a loophole for people incarcerated.
Yeah.
So slavery is illegal in the United States if you are free.
Mm-hmm.
It is not illegal at all, according to the Constitution of the U.S., if you are in prison.
Yeah, well, you do have
You are able to be a slave.
You have to pay prisoners, but the wage for a
It's
prisoner
like $2 a day.
not even like 63 cents or
Yeah,
something.
it's bad.
It's crazy.
It's really bad.
And then like if you want to buy like a pack of ramen noodles, it's like 95 cents or some shit. So like it's more than a day's labor to get one extra meal.
Right. And
Yep.
then not only that.
And it's just going right back to the fucking prison anyway. Like whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not like anyone's like saving up their, cleaning up on the side of the freeway money. For
Not
when they
only
get
that,
out.
a lot of these for-profit prisons are now implementing mandatory people who qualify leave the prison and go work at like fast food joints and stuff like that.
That is fucking crazy.
That's we should maybe do like an amendment to this in the future.
Because I mean there are certain state sanctioned activities for like prison laborers that I'm not necessarily get behind, but I understand, like things like cleaning up roadways and things like that.
What's crazy is some of these like bigger fast food chains are signing contracts with prisons for X amount of laborers to help work in their stores, where they are paying the prisoners X amount, which is again
nothing,
almost nothing. They're paying the prisons the remainder, so the prisons are making money off of them, and the program is compulsory if you fit the qualifications. So in other words, you can't call out, you can't not show up to a job, you like regardless of how fucking bad the job is or what they ask for you.
And there's really so if you were to say I'm sick, you would have to see a prison like physician immediately.
You could be charged. You can be charged for not having a job.
Yeah.
And so again, and we're going to jump back into this study here in a second, but again, now you have incentivized people to go, well, they got to fucking be here. We're paying them fucking dick. Go clean the toilets. Go like somebody just shit their pants all over the fucking playground. Like,
yeah, that's your job now.
You go do that. And if you say no, okay, you're fucking fired. And now you go back to how you get in a van to go back to the fucking prison. And now you face the potential of,
increased sentence,
whatever type of fucking form of punishment.
You imagine that kind
How
of
long
horror?
do you think it takes before somebody is going to take advantage of a system that's rigged in that?
I don't think
that way.
I don't think it's a how long thing. I think that system is already the taking advantage. It's already there.
100%.
Like, it was established to be slavery.
Right. Right.
And
which again,
something else very
legal,
very important to understand about that is that like.
And these are usually
you ever go?
Hang on, real quick. Yeah. But by the way, people who qualify for this are typically people that in a normal situation would qualify for parole.
Right.
Right. They've been there for X amount of time. This is like
they're easy. They're nonviolent.
Without getting too into it, normally, if you have like the reason why people usually get paroled before their sentence is over is because then they're kind of on a leash. So like if you have a 20-year sentence and 15 years in, they parole you, it's so that you still have to go see a parole officer for the next 5 years so that if you reoffend, they're there. If you do the whole 20 years and you get out, you don't have to do any parole or anything like that. You are just you've done your time. Now you're free. So it is normal to be to be paroled prior to your full sentence that way. And I'm not saying that this is a good or a bad thing. It provides some oversight for them to make sure that when you reintegrate into society that you don't you have to have a job, you have to, maintain sort of these rules for the next 5 years, and you have to check in periodically. And most parole officers are pretty, they're not real hardcore about like whatever. I know people who have been through the system and everything. Usually you get paroled out, and as long as you kind of hit these these few things that you have to do. You run out the rest of your sentence, you get off parole, and then you've reintegrated into society. But my point is, most of the people who qualify to leave the prison and go to work in a place would otherwise qualify to be paroled out and to sort of go through it in that way, where they get actually paid, at least a minimum wage.
So we don't live in a particularly metropolitan area. I mean, we live right near Jacksonville, which has its metropolitan points. Mostly, it's a pretty impoverished city, I would say. There is, I mean, that's the direct city itself.
There are some very poor areas.
There are also some very affluent areas. Just, I mean, like anywhere.
For sure.
But it's
Jacksonville is giant.
The interesting thing about Jacksonville is that towards the fringes, it becomes a rural area.
Correct.
Like driving in. You can take your regular freeway and you're going to go through like regular towns that have fucking GameStops and shit like that. But if you were to take the back roads off the freeway to head towards like, say, the Florida Panhandle out towards like Lake City, you get into farmland before you ever leave the city.
For sure.
And also, broken down train cars.
Land mass wise, Jacksonville is the largest city in the world.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
In terms of total square mileage.
It's a city and a county.
It's the entirety of Duval County.
That's why the call for Jacksonville sports fans is Duval, because it's the same. It's synonymous, the city and the county.
Pretty much, yeah.
There are no other cities in Duval County. It's just Jacksonville. A little further out, you get all these rural areas, and we live kind of between some of those two, and I drive a lot through rural areas in central northern Florida. Have you ever been to a fast food restaurant in one of these little podunk nowheres? Hastings, Palaca.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, of course. Usually they suck. Usually it's like the worst service you can get.
100%.
There's a Burger King in Palatka that is notoriously the worst Burger King in the country.
That's
So
makes sense.
when you think about where,
God damn it, now I want a Whopper.
I
don't ever eat fast food, but
it's made from babies.
The one thing that gets me is a fucking Whopper.
Sometimes
man.
a Burger King Whopper will actually it'll fucking hit.
Every once in a while I'm like,
but that's like
once or
really,
twice a year.
If you want to be real heavy, that's like
yeah, I'm gonna feel gross.
So
I probably won't get one. Just FYI.
When you think about like where prisoners would be situated to work, it would be like a desperate franchise owner in a rural area closer to a state prison.
Which is where I was about to say, which is where prisons are.
Exactly. Like out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Mm-hmm. If you find these conditions, that's where prisoners would be sent to work, would be like for somebody who's like, they'd be working for a franchise owner who's already probably pretty desperate for good employees because shit fucking sucks out there. and the thing that freaks me out the most about it is that like, we just talked about the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah.
When you give somebody who's a small business owner and a franchise owner for a fucking fast food chain at that, you give them power over imprisoned people.
Yeah,
that abuse could not escalate faster.
Oh god, think of some of the people who manage fast food places too.
Yeah, they're already fucking like pricks with like their community college degrees on the wall and shit.
If that,
and just like being like just super rude and abrasive. I have seen fast food managers yell at like fucking burger flippers and shit.
I do have, by the way, on our. I don't know if I put it on. I don't know if it's scheduled yet. I do have a convict leasing. So we are going to do...
That shit is fucked.
We are going to do a convict leasing episode coming up in the next few months.
There's a movie from 2012 called Compliance. Mm-hmm. You ever seen Compliance?
You know the answer.
Of course, yeah. I don't know why the fuck I even asked that. It's such a...
No, keep asking it because I like that it's a recurring bit. So.
Compliance is I want to say a good movie, but it's certainly not any fun. It's a 2012 thriller about a fast food manager who's manipulated into interrogating and degrading one of her employees, and it's based on a real life phone scam that occurred at a McDonald's in Kentucky in 2004. It was literally like this: like somebody called a McDonald's and said, "Hey, do you have an employee named XX here?" And the manager's like, "Yes." It's like, "Well, you need to detain them. The police will be there for them shortly. They're accused of stealing this or that."
Okay.
So the manager just is just like, okay, I need you to stay in the storeroom.
Wow.
And like has the person sit in the storeroom, and then the person kept calling back and being like, before we get there, can you interrogate her about her whereabouts? And
what?
The manager would do it.
What would you do as a manager?
I'd say, you can eat dicks. I'd say, oh, absolutely, I'll detain her right away. And then I'd be like, yo, Kelly, you need to get the fuck out of here.
I would be like, oh, she's not here today. Sorry. And then I'd go out there and be like, hey, police just called and asked me to detain you. You
need to fucking run.
Might want to go somewhere like where they don't know where you are and call the police station and find out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. So in this movie, like in the true story, it escalated to a point of like sexual assault at a certain point. We're talking about a female manager and a female employee, and it turned into strip searches and then cavity searches. And this was all just over somebody pretending to be a cop on the phone. It was not obviously a real officer.
Jesus Christ.
And the eventual like lawsuit that happened because of that was, I mean, obviously geared towards the manager and the McDonald's franchise.
Right.
And I think the manager got off
What?
because she was just following orders, even though
That's not your job.
yeah, but then at the same time,
You're not a police officer.
The employee, when questioned about like why would you let her like put her fingers in you for this shit, she's like, I was just following instructions. Because it's just all about this level of compliance. You know, it goes back.
The girl who was assaulted said that?
She's just like, I mean, I was just doing what she told me to do. And then it wasn't until like, she obviously didn't enjoy the experience, but then later is when like your brain starts frothing and you're like, what the fuck just happened to me, right?
No way.
Are you familiar with the Milgram obedience study?
No.
So,
But at some point we should probably get back to the Monopoly study. But go ahead.
so the Milgram obedience study, it's one of the most famous and controversial experiments in psychology.
Uh-huh.
It was conducted by a guy named Stanley Milgram at Yale University in the early 1960s.
Okay.
It investigated how far ordinary people would go in obeying authority, even when it meant harming another person.
Sure.
You know, they wanted to understand why so many people obeyed orders to commit atrocities during events like the Holocaust.
I was going to say 1940s Germany would be a...
Well, it goes right in hand with like our friend of the show, Wilhelm Reich, and his published study on the psychology of fascism.
Right.
The mass psychology of fascism I haven't read yet, but I'm interested.
Okay.
But yeah, they also wanted to know whether people would follow authority figures even when it conflicted with their like conscience. Right. So the setup was that there would be 40 men from various backgrounds told that they were taking part in a study on learning and memory. And each session had a teacher, quote unquote, who was like the real participant, and the learner, who was an actor or part of the experiment.
Okay.
So the teacher had to read words to the learner and deliver an electric shock each time the learner gave a wrong answer.
Oh.
The shocks weren't real, but the teacher believed that they were.
I do know this experiment.
Yeah, so the shock generator had switches labeled from 15 volts, which is like a slight shock, to 450 volts, which is dangerous, severe shock. And the actor pretended to be in pain. It would be like banging on the wall or eventually, going silent.
Yeah.
If the participant hesitated, the experimenter, who'd come in a lab coat, would prod them with phrases like, please continue, the experiment requires that you continue, and you have no other choice. You must go on.
What the fuck?
65% of participants went all the way to 450 volts, believing they were seriously harming or even killing the learner.
God damn.
All participants went up to at least 300 volts. Many showed extreme tension, sweating, trembling, nervous laughter, but they all still did it.
Wow.
Right. So when you think about like prisoners being controlled in these like direct ways by random people, like franchise owners, holy fuck.
Crazy.
Anyway, this has been fun. Go back to our original topic.
All right. So we left off with, like I said, the people, the rich players afterward sort of being sequestered and asked how they thought they did. Talking about crediting their own skill, right?
About Scrabble, right?
Yeah, the rigged Scrabble experiment. They're all sixes.
It's a Hungry Hippos experiment.
So the main takeaway here was this became a pretty vivid demonstration of how power and privilege can quickly alter people's behavior and their self-perception. When people are put into these advantaged positions, even by completely random chance, they frequently feel entitled to their success, show less compassion toward those with less success, and rationalize the inequality as fair or earned, right? I want to stress that this is across this study, right? Not that this applies elsewhere, right? It's been used a lot as like a metaphor for how social and economic inequality affects human psychology, right?
Which is, I mean, there's so many of these things are so in your face. Like, of course, I'm not an idiot. I know that it would, but then it's the people that have the power that are like, no, of course not. No, this is all, it was fair. They just didn't do well.
Well, and so, I mean, it's hard to be empathetic when you, especially like, and I'm not one of these people and you're not one of these people, but especially people who grew up deeply privileged, right? Rich parents got a fucking Corvette for their 16th birthday.
I grew up all fucked up.
Went to the best schools, got admitted to the best college because dad went to that college, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those people, it's got to be hard to have empathy because you have never experienced. I mean, granted, that's the whole point of empathy, is that you don't know what that's like, but you are putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Empathy, put yourself in the place of me.
But I imagine that if you are, again, grew up in a very privileged situation.
If you are a rich cunt, yeah.
That's going to be hard. But I mean, there is no doubt that this experiment is sort of a microcosm of the real world. I think, at least. Especially because of the frequency. That really is, if it was like 50-50, if it was like 25-75, whatever, maybe I'd be like, eh. But the fact that almost all of these people who, again, by chance, and they knew it was by chance, all these people who come from different walks of life, different upbringings, different this, different that, all sort of reacted in almost strikingly the same fucking way. That's a little hard to just ignore and go, well.
Well, I'm sure I don't know of any in particular, but I'm sure you could run the same studies on apes. And you have the Mouse Utopia we talked about, I believe, was it Children's Horror? And the Miss Frisbee and the Rats of Nim?
Yes, that was when I brought up Secret of Nim, yeah.
Yeah. But the Mouse Utopia, that was essentially just like, when given the ability to live in excess, creatures will live in excess until they fucking die.
Yeah, and then the sort of apex, the alpha males in the group kind of started just being lazy.
Yeah.
Because they're just fucking and having babies, and then the other males were sort of scrambling and doing
they
whatever
eventually all just start just wasting away and dying.
And then they just all fucking said, fuck this shit and died.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is kind of where we're at in American society. I have heard more in the last 5 years of fuck this shit, I'm ready to die than I feel like I ever did prior to the last 5 years. So
right, yeah.
So as sort of a continuation, because that's basically the Monopoly study in a nutshell, right? So Paul Piff continued to do additional studies related to wealth and empathy, right? And so after seeing what happened around this Monopoly table that he set up to do these experiments, he and other researchers that he was working with sort of considered the question, okay, does this shift in empathy and entitlement happen in real life and not just on this? Like I said earlier, you have to take into consideration, these are college students. They know they know it's just an experiment. There are no real world consequences at the end of this. Like I said, nobody walks away with real money. Nobody walks away with a trophy. Nobody gets a fucking plaque on the board. It's just a day of playing Monopoly. Yeah, the rules are rigged. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Right. It's hard to really get too attached to what's going on here because it's a fucking game. Right. So like I said, they wondered, how does this shift in how people act apply to the real world outside of this board game experiment? So they decided to go a little bit bigger. So Paul Piff ran a series of follow-up studies looking at how wealth and social class affect people's behavior, how it affects their generosity, and how it affects their sense of fairness, which is a big one. And across a number of experiments, he found a pretty consistent pattern, right? So one was with wealth and generosity. In one of his studies, people were asked how much, if they were hypothetically given $10,000, right?
Yeah. How
much would you give to charity?
$10,000?
$10,000.
How much would you give?
If I were given $10,000, that's a hard question.
Yeah, I would give none. I would say it sounds shitty. It sounds real shitty.
Yeah.
But you know what? I could really fucking use $10,000.
Yeah. I feel like in
$100,000, I'll give 10 to charity.
I feel like in this economy, I feel like $10,000 is really not anything. We're talking about 2012.
My rent is $1,560, and that's light around here.
So that gets you through through about half the year.
Going back to just a quick mention of the mayoral race in New York, Zoran Mondami, when asked what his rent was, he said it was like $2,870.
Jesus.
Yeah, well, it's New York, and he's got
$2,870. Okay.
Yeah, he's got like $2,800. Yeah, so he's like, he lives in New York. He lives in a modest apartment.
Right.
And fucking Anthony Cuomo was like, he's living in a rent-controlled apartment meant for poor people. And all the commentary is like, dude, you think that a $2,800 apartment is for poor people? Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, it is New York, so I don't fucking know. But by the way, adjusted for inflation, $10,000 in 2012 would be about 15 now. So that's crazy, by the way.
That's a lot of inflation in 13 years. Fuck me.
It's gone up 50%.
Damn.
So, alrighty.
We're all going to die.
Yeah, right.
I want to be flipping burgers in a fucking prison McDonald's pretty soon.
Right? A prison McDonald's. So the lower income participants said that they would, again, almost across the board, they would give a higher percentage. I think that I'm not sure the sort of rules of this experiment, but I think that there was a requirement that you have to give something, right? Wealthier participants gave significantly less, even though they could afford more. So this is actually taking into consideration where these people come from, what their backgrounds are, right? This is people who are actually come from a lower income background versus a higher income background. No. They actually said, okay, what is and I'm not sure if
because
these
if you ever had control over more than $10 million, you should probably be executed.
Yeah.
You'll never empathize with a poor person again, and you should be taken out.
But
let's start over in huts.
Again, I think this was all at UC Berkeley. These are all students. So, these are not necessarily wealthy kids per se. They're kids that come from wealth versus kids that come from, not wealth.
I'd probably come if I had that much wealth.
You're going to come no matter what. Don't lie to me.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, in real life donation data, the same holds true. As income rises, the share of money donated tends to fall.
Yeah.
And I would like to give a very, very obvious fucking example. The Waltons.
Yeah.
The Walton family who owns Walmart.
The wealthiest family on the planet.
The wealthiest family.
Outside
how
of,
many?
like,
I
Saudi
can't remember
Arabia.
how many kids, like 5 kids. Their father built Walmart. And as soon as he died and they took over, that's when Walmart, that was once, super low prices. Most of their shit they sold there was made and manufactured in the United States. Immediately they went to fucking all the fucking cheapest bullshit Chinese, whatever the fuck. And they may donate some now, but I feel like if they do, they've been shamed into it because there was a long time where like it was like headline news. These fucking people don't donate any of their fucking massive wealth, because as soon as Sam Walton died, that's when you started seeing Walmarts fucking springing up everywhere, super Walmarts, and that's when the company profits started skyrocketing. And these fucking 5 or 7 kids, I can't remember how many fucking kids it is, but they just started making money hand over fist and not giving any of it back to the community.
Yeah, they're the devil collectively. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of my arguments for people who I didn't like Elon Musk before he got political. I never had any, like, I didn't attribute any value to him. And some people are like, oh, well, he's got, he's making these cars that are electric, and so that's good for the environment. Why wouldn't you like that? And oh, he wants to go to Mars, and that's crazy. And he's making these spaceships and this and that. First of all, he's not doing any of that. He's paying people to do it, but whatever. Here's where I fucking draw the line, right? Those are great causes, perhaps, at some point in time. If Elon Musk was a fucking selfless individual with fucking empathy for anybody else in the human race,
he wouldn't be the richest person on earth. That's for fucking sure.
That is one thing. 2, why do I not see a fucking Elon Musk wing on every fucking hospital in the country? Why do I not see Elon Musk fucking charity foundations?
Well, there was
why did that fucker say that if the fucking WHO could tell him how to solve
the water crisis,
how to solve hunger, world hunger for under what $3 billion? I can't remember how much it was specifically.
That he would pay it.
That he would pay it, and then they did it, and then he silence. He didn't even say, "Oh, okay, thanks, never mind." Just silence,
which is insane because he was able to fucking just slap all this money together to get like Twitter. And then 10% of that might have solved world hunger. And he's like, no, I need that for my hatreds.
And I get it. Most of his value is not,
No, fuck that
it's
asshole.
not fluid.
He's got a trans daughter that he doesn't talk to.
That he disowned, yeah.
That he completely disowned, who is actually really charming and cool. Like,
Yeah.
I follow her on Instagram. She's pretty rad and looks like she's having a blast.
Good.
Yeah, like fucking...
Who fucking cares what your dad thinks?
Your dad's a piece of shit, dude.
Even if he wasn't a piece of shit, who fucking cares?
Dude,
Like,
my daughter decided, like, one day, like, hey, I would rather be male. I'd be like, well, okay, there we go.
yeah. Yeah.
You want to have
Dude,
a catch?
is that gonna make you happier? Then cool. Be happier. Like, it's hard enough getting through the goddamn world as it is.
Yeah, world's a fucking night. World
Be
is,
as happy as you need to be.
As
Find
I
happiness
believe-
in whatever you can.
as I believe my good friend Patrick Wall once stated, the world is a vampire.
It is. Being people is hard. So,
There's an experiment that kind of like shows like a redemptive arc to these sort of like psychological experiments as well.
there is.
Yeah.
There is. And we'll hold that one tight because I'm going to get into some of that at the end of this. And obviously, as always, I welcome your input. So the other pattern that
That's what
emerged,
she said.
the other pattern so the first pattern was in terms of wealth and generosity. Like I said, lower income participants typically gave a higher percentage, wealthier typically a lower percentage, and that's reflected in real world data. The other pattern that emerged was in terms of honesty and ethics, right? So in another experiment, Piff and his team observed a busy intersection in California, right?
California?
They just set up cameras or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they just hung out with notepads in their white smocks. But they hung out all day at this intersection in California and they recorded drivers and they noted what type of car they were driving, right? Owners of expensive cars, the BMWs, the Mercedes, the fucking Lexus, etc., were far more likely to cut off other drivers or pedestrians at crosswalks.
Yeah.
Drivers of modest cars almost always yielded. And again, with reference to that whole monopoly experiment, that behavior of, I'm whatever, I'll go first. I don't care. I got everything. I got all the things. Just fuck them.
Excuse me.
They can wait to walk
a
across the street.
Mercedes.
Yeah. Another pattern in terms of empathy and perception emerged, which was when wealthier people were asked to interpret facial expressions. So this is another experiment. Wealthier people asked to interpret facial expressions. They were less accurate at identifying emotions in others compared to people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, which is interesting.
This lady's got water leaking from her face. Maybe she lost some money or something.
So
this person looks like they made some money. They got a big, like a half moon on their face with their teeth.
Yeah, no shit. But, again, in terms of this experiment, what this sort of says to us is that abundant wealth correlates to less attunement with other people's feelings because, I guess
money is the root of all evil.
Comfort and independence. Suddenly you're insulated from needing to read social cues from people.
Perhaps it's because the nature of man is to revile oneself and to feel the deepest hatred for one's kinfolk. Perhaps the real lesson is that man itself is the evil that we aspire to separate ourselves from. One cannot deny their nature.
Maybe.
Any more than the monkey wants the banana. We
Christ.
want to just be dicks to each other and have a big tub of money to roll around in.
I think that's some people's sort of drive in life.
Yeah.
I do believe that is what drives some people. I would say that most of those people are deeply unhappy at a base level.
Unless they've got a big tub of money to roll around in.
Yeah, all those people's problems are gone, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
No, they aren't.
Yo, you give me a big tub of money to roll around in, bet you all my problems are gone.
For now, yeah. New problems will emerge.
No, probably not. I
No?
really just need a backpack with some food and an account that can like get me a room every now and then, and I will wander the earth like Caine in Kung Fu.
Okay, well, I mean, cool.
Yeah.
In most experiments, the gap between what you have and what you want never closes. So the more money you have, the more money you want. That gap doesn't change.
More money, more problems.
We're not going to.
I remember
we're not going to quote P Diddy.
There's
on
this one.
podcast.
It was shit. That wasn't P Diddy. Was it? Fuck. There was this one particular time I was working at this pizzeria with our friend Jake Teeters, and then the co-owner of that restaurant is a guy I don't care for, but
He is Interesting guy.
Fuck that guy.
He's a not likable guy.
Not a particularly likable character. And if you're listening, you know who the fuck I'm talking about, asshole.
He's not listening.
No, he's not. He's too busy fucking jerking himself off in the mirror or something. But anyway, so this guy, he's talking to me, and I was making. Oh,
where's he from?
He lives in Texas or some shit.
No, but he was from somewhere else.
Oh, his family's Russian or something like that.
Is it Russian? Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. Well, one time he had Jake pick him up a signed Jimmy Eat World guitar.
We talked about this was that on a Patreon? We have talked about this on Mic
I rubbed
before.
my balls on it.
Yeah.
I can't take that back.
And then he found out and he was really mad.
He's still mad, probably. Fuck that guy. Anyway, this is about why he sucks. So I was working at this pizzeria. He owns the fucking pizzeria. It's failing. It's just business was not doing well. But I was making I want to say $16 an hour or something. It was not good. I felt falling behind on my child support and shit. And I was constantly just broke. My car was fucked up. It was just I was drunk all the time. It was a bad period. Bad, drunken, weird, poor period.
Sure.
And I remember we were talking one time about social inequality stuff, and I mentioned yeah, I mean, pretty much solve most of the problems in a person's life. They have $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy looks at me, the employee making 16 something an hour or whatever, and says, I have $1 million. Doesn't solve my problems. And I just looked at him. I had fucking fryer oil on my face and shit. And I just look at him just oh. And my first instinct was to stab him. It really
I mean, but that makes our point here vis-a-vis this experiment.
Vis-a-vis, concordantly.
So the psychological thread here that Paul Piff argued is that, power and privilege change what we pay attention to, right? When you feel secure and like you're in control, you focus more on yourself and on your goals. When you have less, you depend more on others. And so you stay more attuned to them, right?
Yeah.
And this Monopoly experiment kind of showed how fast that switch can happen, right? You give someone this advantage, even randomly, even with them knowing that this advantage is happening because not anything that they necessarily did to earn it, it just happened. And within minutes, they act like they have earned it, right? You look at how many fucking lottery winners piss away their fucking money overnight.
That's consistent. That is the majority of people who win the lottery end up with massive more debt than they had when they started. Yeah.
But
boy, had they done a bunch of cocaine.
Because that gap between wants and needs, haves and wants, rather, I guess I should say, that difference between what you have and what you want never really closes.
I think it can if you're conscious of that.
If you have, you and I both have very simple needs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I had millions of dollars, if I won the lottery, I don't play the lottery, but if I were to win the lottery, one, I wouldn't fucking tell anybody.
I would be out of town before anybody knew about it.
I wouldn't tell a single
I would
person.
legitimately, I would grab my wife and child and I'd get the fuck out of town.
I would pay off our 2 homes.
Mm-hmm.
I would pay off our 2 vehicles. I would invest most of it. I would donate a lot of it, and I'd be fucking happy, dude. I live a happy, simple life. I have most of the things that I want and all of the things that I need.
I would set up my.
I don't need a boat. I don't need a fucking McLaren.
I could do a boat.
I don't want a fucking boat. A boat's
a cool boat to get around in. You know what I
would do? I would get a yacht club membership where I could take somebody else's fucking boat out.
You know what I would do? Actually, you familiar with the actor Jeremy Irons?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a bad guy in Die Hard with Vengeance.
Uh-huh.
He semi-retired and fucking...
No, I'm thinking Michael Ironside.
No, Michael Irons, a different guy.
Yeah, he
Starship
is.
Troopers.
Yeah. Highlander.
Highlander 2, the Quickening.
Yeah.
Great actor, actually. So many voice roles and so many cartoons you don't even know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Jeremy Irons sort of semi-retired, and he bought an Irish castle that had fallen into disrepair.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Totally revamped it, and it is fucking gorgeous. And he has a little sailboat. He sails around this fucking big lake or loch, I guess.
Yeah,
and that's his life. And he's just fucking smoking his pipe and fucking hanging out in his castle.
Cool. Great.
Me.
Yeah.
But I don't want the castle just because it's cool. I want it because of the isolation and
I would buy some properties overseas in places that I really love, and we would just go to those places and live off of the money. I don't need, I don't need to drive myself crazy with a fucking I would still stay active, but I have hobbies and I have things that I can do. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like I can still set up a wood shop and make things and and fulfill that.
Therein lies like the real question, because somebody posted something recently. Actually, my friend Ashley Williams, she posted something on social media that said like, hey, instead of all of these self-help books and all the chicken soups for the soul and shit like that, like you should probably invest in reading some poetry and some like good fiction and some other stuff like that.
Sure.
Stories about the world that might open your eyes a little bit more than just to like your own incessant need to survive. Like, like there is value to living. That's
100%.
That's something that like I see completely omitted in like the halls of power.
I think self-help stuff is fine.
It has its time and place.
Good. It's it's good for people to want to be better versions of themselves.
But it's like when I look at,
but I mean, yeah, you can't omit all the other things that sort of make you a well-rounded human being.
Yeah, if you fucking don't want to read poetry because it's gay or something, dude, you suck. You suck. Don't do that.
Just be gay for a little bit.
Yeah, be a little gay.
It's okay to be a little gay.
But like, there's this whole, the whole conflagration with fucking liberalism and liberal arts is ridiculous. Like the liberal arts, of like, poetry and art and music and all this stuff. Like, it's like Robin Williams said in the Dead Poet Society, these are the things that make life worth living.
Sure.
Like mathematics, science, these are all noble pursuits. But the passion and romance and shit like that, that's the stuff that you do not see in like the halls of power. Like the hugely successful and wealthy very rarely have this like grasp of the finer things of being a human.
I just realized something.
What up?
So for those of you who don't know this, when we set up our recording schedule, we usually bump out all of our episodes for like 6 months, right? And then once we get down to like the last month or two, we'll bump it out for the next 6 months. So the episodes that are sort of like correlate with something happening, like usually a holiday or something like that, we put stars next to.
Right. Oh,
and
fuck,
so
this is one of them.
I saw that this had a star next to it, and so I was like, I wonder why, because I don't always remember and I don't annotate it in the which I probably should when we do our scheduling. But so I looked real quick at when this episode comes out.
Is this our Thanksgiving episode?
No, this episode comes out on November 3rd, which is the day before Election Day. It's the day before.
Oh.
Not that these are like, it's not midterm elections or anything like that, but I mean, there are elections happening the day after this drops. So I think maybe I was hoping that people would have some empathy.
My endorsement in that would be to look for candidates that you think might have read like a fucking good book this year, maybe. And like just a good, like a fun book, like a book.
Right.
Ray Bradbury, Kurt Vonnegut, shit like that.
Sure.
Like fucking, just a fun one. Even a fantasy novel, for fuck's sake. A Redwall. Jeez, and Animorphs.
So
Though I think the only one who would have read Animorphs is like Ocasio-Cortez or something.
probably.
She's fucking cool.
That would track. So Paul Piff's work became part of this sort of, at the time, growing body of research on the psychology of wealth, right? Which is this field that like sort of explored how inequality doesn't just affect economics, but it affects the moral fabric of our society, right?
Uh-huh.
And so it suggests that structural privilege, right? Privilege that is sort of baked into our society doesn't just benefit people materially, it reshapes their worldview. And that is normally in these subtle ways where they can justify acting real shitty toward other people. That's what it comes down to. We've got more, and this is where sort of where we get into, and that's why I told you hang on to that study that you had. Some skeptics and some other points of contention here on, because it's a very complicated topic.
Right.
I mean, it really is. I'm not saying that anything that we've gone through so far is particularly correct or incorrect. I'm saying that it's worth a look.
Yeah, they're all studies. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's worth a look, and certainly a lot of it makes sense if you think about it sort of, just get outside of your own fucking worldview for a second and think about it with some empathy for the rest of the fucking world, which is how I try and live my life. But yeah.
Something that I find very interesting is that like there are a couple different minds when it comes to scientific analysis and different differential studies and things like that. And,
Right.
and like you got the one mind that is like, that's interesting. That study is thought provoking. It expands my view on what like the issue it was concerning might be.
Right.
And then you have the other group of people who are like, that proved that. Like,
Right.
Like the Stanford prison experiment proved abuse. And I would say, okay, in a way, sure. But there's also going to be a spectrum where you run that same exact experiment with different people.
Right.
And you get a completely different
Life
result.
is much more complicated
Yeah.
than just doing a study.
Everybody wants to fucking nail shit down, facts and figures. You know, like this study shows that if you put something up your butt, you're gay. But like, that's not necessarily
Lots
true.
of straight people put things in their ass.
All the time.
It's
It's like,
fine.
well, it's like a huge like common activity. It's not weird. It's not weird.
I'm not into it personally, but I mean,
That's what they all say.
I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum personally. So you just do what makes you happy. You know, again, I revert back to do what makes you happy. You know, as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as it's just your ass, you're good. Or someone's ass
consensual
with express
consensual
consent.
secondary ass.
Yeah, as long as
Make it about the butt. As long as everybody's cool
with it.
That's why we're friends. High five.
High five. So these experiments became highly, highly influential. And, naturally, that's going to get some pushback from other Scientologists. I almost said Scientologists. From other psychologists and social scientists who kind of felt like these results are not too neat. They're a little too ready-made for, headlines and TED Talks and just to sort of get Paul Piff maybe a little bit of notoriety.
Paul Piff.
I think probably somewhere in between personally, but again, like we were talking about, like these scientific experiments, they're just very controlled. They're very, there's not, the world's more black and white than that, right? So a lot of critics said that because the Monopoly study was this closed artificial environment and the unfairness was too obvious, like, the participants in the study,
there are some factors to it that give me pause.
They knew they were in the game. They knew they were playing a game.
Right.
They knew they were being watched. They knew that it was a temporary setup. They knew that there was no real world implications.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's like if you're going to do an experiment like this with these parameters, it has to be transparent like that. Because it's fucking Monopoly.
Yes. But I mean, yes, that is the way you have to do it. I can't think of another way to run that experiment.
You'd have to just invent a different game.
Yeah, no, I can't think of another way to run that experiment other than the way they did it. But I mean, it still does mean that you have to sort of confront the results with a grain of salt because the world is more complicated than just that simple. So, but what they argued was that, this means that their behavior during this experiment reflected sort of like this awkward role playing, this sort of performance. It wasn't genuine, like internal change in them. It was just for the sake of the experiment, and so the results could like overstate how fast real privilege, like real world privilege, changes your empathy in day-to-day life, which is not to say it doesn't change it. It just, in this experiment, the fact that it was mere minutes before people started acting this way.
Yeah, the speed with which that shit goes down is crazy.
But I mean, also the speed with which you would be making that amount of money that quickly and sort of watching your wealth grow and grow and grow and grow. You have to sort of stretch that out over what, a real world accumulation of wealth would look like.
Well, you just you said grow and grow and grow and grow. It reminded me of that.
Made you think about penises?
Yes. Big fat throbbing cocks.
What were you going to say?
Quivering hogs. Big fat sloppy. Okay, no, it made me think of the Dr. Bronner's label.
Oh,
here he goes. You fucking when you garden and so and so and so and so and what you sow grows, it grows, it grows, it grows.
Jesus Christ. So basically, in short, they were saying that the Monopoly board in this experiment, used as this caricature of inequality, was a great metaphor, but not necessarily a great mirror of reality. Right. Which I would say, yeah.
I mean, that sounds
that's certainly
but that's
a fair thing to a fair conclusion to come to.
And that's so important to be able to understand that that's how experiments like this are reflective. Nothing is going to be set in stone because people are specifically different from each other all over.
Right.
There's a lot of similarities, and that's what these experiments will do. It's like parables, and
right. It's getting it's. I mean, the whole purpose was to create a metaphor.
Yeah.
And then get as many people involved in the study as possible to see if you can come up with patterns, which they did.
And you will absolutely come up with those, like the specific patterns if you do a cross section of thousands of people and do the experiment again and again and again and again and again. You will get repeating data. Sure,
that's sort of the whole way that experiments work.
Yeah, but if you're just using a cross section with 40 people or something, like
it was a couple hundred.
That's only like a couple hundred is going to give you a nice roundabout theory.
It'll give it'll give you.
But you can't make a scientific law off of it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you would have to do it thousands of times to really, really establish a more concrete pattern. And then even then, you have to again take all these things with a grain of salt because there are all these factors where there's not really any real world consequences. There's not, you got college students. There's a lot. There's a lot to sort of take into consideration with this. So another thing, again, from the critic standpoint, was wealth does not necessarily equal lack of empathy in every case, which again is that's not a brave statement. You know what I mean? That's a pretty easy statement to make. So follow-up studies in other labs sometimes failed to reproduce PIF's strongest results.
Right.
For example, some found no clear link between income and unethical driving once they controlled for age, region, or commute stress. This is for the intersection that they sat at, right? They recreated some of this, and I don't know how they figured out people's ages or regions or commute stress, but apparently there was another study that said, it's not really the same results if you sort of weigh these factors in. Other studies found that wealthier participants could be more generous, especially when donations were public or tied to reputation, which goes back to our Patreon episode about performative charity.
Yes, it does, Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
And your cold, dead eyes.
And
Give me some money.
And I would argue that is a fine point to make, but if you are donating for reputation and you are donating because you know that it's going to be made public and that people are going to go, oh, look what a great guy, then maybe your heart's not necessarily in the right place.
Right. It's just so complicated though.
We got real deep on that episode.
It's maybe your heart's not in the right place, but the money's in the right place. So
exactly. I mean, when you're helping somebody, do they give a shit that they got the money because you deeply cared and you really were about that cause, or that you didn't and you just wanted some notoriety? I don't think it matters to the person who's being helped out in this situation. Yeah, which is what we talked about on that whole episode.
But you can't really rely on absolutism when you're talking about. And
is there really a difference between performative charity and somebody winning $20,000 on the Wheel of Fortune?
No, it's the same fucking thing.
It's
like you get three people who have the same grasp of letters as anybody else, and fucking have them pit their fucking luck against each other.
It's not. Yeah. So there was a psychologist, Michael Krauss from Yale, and another David Amadio from NYU. And, again, their whole argument is that the context in this situation matters a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, context really is everything. Yeah. We're context guys.
We are. We're talk about context.
I think that's a show. I think that is our show is
context.
Context. Because you can read all of this shit in a book, but it's the thinking about and the analyzing.
Right. So they argue that the rich are not inherently less empathetic, but sort of the social environments that they find themselves in reward independence and competition, and that can suppress empathy in some settings, and it can amplify it in others.
I think that's a pretty astute observation.
I would agree. Yeah. Another issue.
Still have to execute all the rich just because, you can't really sort them out. But
another issue is PIF studies, and we've talked about this, relied on university participants or people self-identifying their social class online.
Right.
Which means that a lot of the quote unquote rich participants in, these follow-up studies after the Monopoly study weren't necessarily like ultra wealthy people, just relatively well-off students, maybe,
Uh-huh.
or coming from that socioeconomic class. And so,
you're more want to find in universities anyway,
Right.
because universities are fucking expensive.
well, so, but that does sort of paint your findings a little bit, because that would reflect sort of feelings of privilege in this particular phase of your life as an 18, 19-year-old kid coming from, a rich background. But it doesn't necessarily equal like this deep social conditioning.
Isn't there something interesting in there though too? Because in a certain way, the wealthy that would find themselves in a prestigious university could just be like, yes, I was expected to be here. This is my everyday experience. But then the people from a lower economic class that find themselves there through hard work or particular genius or whatever, wouldn't it be like them getting that extra money in Monopoly? Wouldn't you have that feeling of like, I am particularly special and I did get here because I'm fancy?
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
That's a really great
Because
point.
you flip that on its head. Like what the currency that we're rocking with in these experiments is, to the point of Monopoly, that's just paper, nothing.
Right.
Right. But if your currency is like, I worked my dick off to get here.
I would argue that there are people from both ends of the socioeconomic spectrum that still act once they get into that position the same way. I am sure that there are people who came from absolutely nothing, who work their way into a position of, vast wealth. I don't think Jeff Bezos came from a particularly notable amount of wealth.
No, actually, I don't know his backstory very much. I've tried to avoid him. He looks slimy.
Yeah, well, and that's my point, is that where he is now in terms of wealth is disappointing.
He could never get there if he had a soul.
Right. It's disappointing from an ethical standpoint.
Yeah. Why isn't the world a paradise?
Because there is also not a Jeff Bezos wing on every fucking hospital.
This is why I have brought this up many times.
Or a Jeff Bezos charitable foundation.
I think there is a couple of Bezos charitable foundations, but it's like they're not changing the fucking world too hard,
Yeah, his wife that got a bunch of his wealth after she fucking divorced him started those.
I bring this up a lot. I think that the wealthiest American annually should be executed and all of their wealth be redistributed.
We actually came up with a better concept for that.
Did we?
And it was the top 5 richest people sit in a room and they have to say how much they made that year, what they've donated to, why they donated it to it, and what their plans are with their remaining wealth.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of it, it's like a
Shark Tank.
It's like an America's Got Talent type thing where everybody
at the end you drop one into a Shark Tank.
Right. At the end, all of America votes on which one they think is the least likely to contribute moving forward, and that person gets shot on live TV.
Yeah.
And then their money gets distributed out to everyone else. And you only the beauty of this is that you only have to do it one time, because I guarantee you the next year
everyone's
all of
competing
those 5
to not be the top 5. Yeah.
All those 5 richest people have donated so much wealth to so many worthy causes, and they are doing so much to give back that you don't have to have a second episode of that show.
It is consistently frustrating that most philanthropic...
This is some Black Mirror type shit.
Yeah, the most philanthropic
we should
ideals...
write this and send it to Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a great fucking Black Mirror
It's a
episode?
good episode. I'd like it. I think it's more of a Twilight Zone maybe, but it's the same sort of
Black
deal,
Mirror is basically the modern day Twilight Zone. It's Twilight Zone with technology.
Yes, it has some. What I don't want to debate the merits of Black Mirror. I like Black Mirror. Preferred the British. Seasons.
So the season starts off with the game show and the execution, and then the whole rest of the episode, hour long or whatever, is all these rich people
just doing their best,
really doing their best, and like what their motivations are. Are their motivations to actually help, or are their motivations just not to end up back there?
Right. Interesting.
That would be a great episode. God damn it.
I was gonna fucking say something. Oh yeah, I think it's rough that all the philanthropic ideas, that the ideology that I come up with, to like, it'd be really great if we could like save the world like this, almost always involves murdering someone. But not a good person, so it's okay.
Yeah, listen, the show Dexter was a hit.
That it is, and Dexter is my middle name.
Oh yeah, it is. So again, a lot of these critics argued, are all these experiments sort of designed for moral storytelling, or is there actual hard causation going on here? Right.
Right.
Because like I said, this became a very influential series of studies, and it became sort of this viral like parable about these rich monopoly players who
Viral Parable is kind of a good band name.
That is a good band name. About these rich monopoly players, like, did they just forget the luck portion of this? You know? And so a lot of critics were like, this isn't like a correlation equals causation situation. You know what I mean? Do rich people become less empathetic because they're rich? That's that correlation versus causation. Or do people with lower empathy tend to climb faster in competitive systems?
I really,
that is one of those things that data cannot separate those two.
Yeah.
So that causation suddenly becomes like, well, it's a very chicken and egg situation. Like, maybe people who just have less empathy are better at saying, fuck you, I got to get what I need.
Maybe it's a problem with the form of currency itself. I mean, seriously, because the currency that's being associated with these experiments is the accrual of personal wealth.
Yes.
Right. And which gives you the option to use it however you'd like. But like,
sure.
But what if like the wealth that you gained was like
chickens,
chickens, or I mean, like legitimately, like like what if it was like fucking chicken?
Yeah.
So you had a bunch of food, but you had so much food that you would never need more.
Right.
And you're not getting a different form of currency with that, and you're not going to get more shit because of your food. Like, wouldn't you be more likely to share it?
That would be an interesting experience.
At what point does the cap on your personal wealth end if it's just a singular item and it isn't like this piece of paper marks like a Taiwan hooker that I can get. Like, if I fucking am bored later, I can eat like a bunch of horse tranquilizers and I can pay to homeless people to fight.
That's an interesting spin on the experiment.
Yeah, if it was just you can continue accruing a particular form of wealth that you can only use so much of personally anyway.
If the reward is something that cannot be used universally for anything and everything.
Or it couldn't be used universally, but everybody that shared, like chicken, like food. If it was literally just a form of food and everyone can only have so much fucking food,
Yeah.
At what point is it like, well, I'll just keep sharing this? But then, of course, we know that in capitalism, it would be converted into currency, which would be turned into ketamine and hookers. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you have 1,000 chickens, you can get a lot of money for that.
Damn, maybe it's not the form of currency. Maybe it's the system under which we use currency.
So, sociologists and behavioral economists have also warned...
I'm not a communist, okay? Don't fucking come
I
for
said
me.
behavioral economists.
I heard you.
They've also warned that this type of research...
Not an e-communist either. Ecommunist.com, where like-minded socialists can get together.
Oh my God. So they've also warned that this research can slide into sort of like moralizing narratives, right? The rich are selfish, the poor are kind, and it oversimplifies social reality, which is a lot more complex. A lot of wealthy individuals act very philanthropically and socially responsibly. And I think that's a safe comment to say.
Yeah.
There are wealthy, people who give back a lot.
But you know what? There was like...
And a lot of struggling individuals certainly make, self-interested and unethical decisions in their lives.
Fuck, yeah, me too. Whatever.
So what I'm saying is that, these studies sort of package it into, like I said, these moralizing narratives. And life is complicated, man. Life, it just is.
Life is beautiful, Roberto Benigni.
You can't package these studies into like this very neat little everything,
But you
rich
can
people bad.
study my neat little package.
So, defenders.
Oh fuck!
Stupid defenders of these.
That's my favorite thing that you do. You just stupid.
Yeah, I do. That's like my go-to is just shake my head,
fucking idiot,
chuckle, and say stupid. I do it all the time. I do it to everyone.
It's stupid.
You're stupid. So people who defend, Paul Piff's defenders in these studies, their response is he never said all rich people are bad. He only claimed that advantage alters perspective in sometimes very subtle ways. So,
yeah,
and it's nuancy. And so, but, public reception to this can tend to skew that way. Even though Paul Piff never said that directly.
Mm-hmm.
You put all this stuff out and you do your TED Talks and you do all this, and this becomes this big viral sensation about, these studies. There is something to be said for the fact that a lot of people are going to take it that way and run with it, even though you never said all rich people are bad and all poor people are magnanimous.
That is very specifically how those studies are taken. I mean, you have studies like that. They're utilized by various media outlets to. I mean, you get the same exact study, and two different halves of like the political commentary spectrum will take a completely different. So take the monopoly study, right?
Mm-hmm.
On one side, like say, the fucking liberal conservative side, right?
Right.
Like on the liberal side, it would be like, oh, absolute power of wealth corrupts.
Mm-hmm.
And then, on the conservative side, it could be like, a small hand up can like open up the possibilities of a person's fantastic mind or whatever.
Yeah. Or their potential or whatever.
Yeah, exact potential. That's what I mean. Like it's fucking loan can open the potential of somebody that could be successful. Or more apropos, the people, the losers that couldn't elevate themselves beyond a particular point will complain and try and take down the successful as cheaters.
Which, I mean, I would say there are probably examples of that in real life.
Yeah, of course.
I think that, obviously taking these studies as canon and saying this is right, or this, whatever.
Yeah, that's not.
I think that would be very flawed logic. Most psychologists agree that the Monopoly study did capture sort of the psychological truth, which is
Monopoly sucks.
Don't play Monopoly.
Don't play Monopoly. Everyone's going to get pissed off at Christmas.
No, when humans gain advantage, even for trivial reasons, our sense of fairness and empathy can tilt a little bit towards self-justification in acting the way that we want. And I think that is a very fair thing to take away from this.
I would say my biggest takeaway is just that, from the Stanford Prison Experiment, the whole deal is just that people's standard morality is not static.
No.
And circumstantial things can shift people's perspectives enough to shift their morality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not me.
Well, that's why I challenged you when you said if you won the lottery, you'd be like, oh, fine, I'm good. Everything's great.
Nobody gets dick. I'm fucking getting out of here.
Yeah, suddenly you're a fucking nightmare to deal with. I don't think that these experiments are necessarily like proof of moral decay if you achieve success in your life. I think it is a reminder of how fragile your self-awareness can become in light of privilege, particularly overwhelming privilege. I think that is something that only somebody who really is, more emotionally healthy and mature would be able to keep in check. And if you are not in that camp, if you're just sort of flying by the seat of your fucking pants, then it would be very easy to just be like, whatever.
That makes me
lose that empathy completely.
That makes me think of like when you see like young celebrities that like accrue a bunch of wealth really quickly, but then they try and present themselves as like humble and like people of the people.
Yeah.
Or like Jonah Hill did for a long time. He's like trying to be like a more enlightened, like just very reflective of himself a lot.
James Franco did that too.
Yeah, like a lot of these guys.
Yeah, both of those guys came out. They both ended up being nightmares with women.
Yeah, exactly. They're fucking like little creepy little weirdos. They're fucking weird little picadillos, and Franco banging his students at college.
Jesus
and stuff.
Christ!
But like, it's that's not so. I'm not so much commenting on the actual people, but the perception of them. Like, I was always a Jonah Hill fan.
Right.
And he like lost a bunch of weight and he got very serious. And I liked some of his serious stuff. And then we started coming out as like, I'm, try to be psychologically enlightened and a new man of the new world and stuff like this. I just thought, man, what a fucking weirdo loser. Like, get out of here. You've got more money than anybody. You're fucking millions of dollars. You're fucking, going to your Hollywood parties. Suck dicks.
I don't,
but the context there is just like, how damn near impossible must it be to like keep your self-awareness in check when everybody looking at you when you've got so much?
Right.
It's just like, fuck you.
That's
asshole.
where I was going to. So I'm conflicted about this because I was just having this conversation with a couple friends the other day. So what I was going to say is he could just do those things without announcing it.
Right.
But I can also see you're in an industry where you're doing interviews, people are watching your interviews.
Right, right.
Everybody wants to know more about Jonah Hill before this new movie comes in that he started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
He was so fat and funny. What is he now?
So you're doing the tour circuit and you're answering questions and you're going to fucking conventions and yada, 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 yada. And I feel like if that is something that you are genuinely passionate about, if that is something that you've recently come to the conclusion in your own life, within your own fucking head, that you want to be this more enlightened person and you want to kind of just branch out and learn these things, maybe you do bring that up as, hey, this is the path that I'm on, to all these people who are here to listen to me. And certainly there's some vanity there, but maybe you do bring it up. Maybe it was just all fucking performative just to maybe, make people like you more. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know.
Hey,
I was talking the other day about it came up talking about nude scenes, like in movies.
Yeah.
And
was that when we were talking about Kevin Bacon's hog?
No. This was with a couple but you weren't there for this.
How many times have you talked about Kevin Bacon's hog?
I wasn't talking about Kevin Bacon's hog.
Was that us? Did we talk about that?
I think so.
I think so. It's in Hollow Man.
Yeah, in Hollow Man.
It's accentuated.
No, we were talking about Jason Segel's hog.
Oh yeah.
In the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That's a nice one. That's a good cock.
And somebody said that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we don't know if that was his real dick or if it was a prosthetic.
Oh, that was his real dick.
And that was the exact comment. And they were like, why would it be a prosthetic? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like if I were an actor, especially at that point in his career, he was very, very notable. Like he'd been in How I Met Your Mother and was making movies and doing all that shit.
Yeah, that was like the high point of his career.
Yeah. Like so much of your life has to be accessible to everyone at all times. I don't know that I might be like, you know what? Put a fucking, even if my dick was the same size, the same fucking everything, I'd be like, I want to at least be able to say, no, that wasn't my real dick.
Marky Mark.
I don't need everything to be accessible. To
Marky Mark wore a fake dick at the end of Boogie Nights.
Yes,
which always bummed me out. Just like the whole movie they're talking about this guy's hog.
But even if his dick was that fucking big in real life, but I can understand the
Jason Segel. You know that's his real dick for one very specific reason.
Why?
Because if it wasn't his real dick, it wouldn't be funny. And like you can't tell the joke and then later, and people are like, that's funny, he showed his dick. And then later you find out it wasn't his real dick, because then that scene's never going to be funny again.
I mean, really? Does the dick need to be real to make the situation funny?
I think so. I mean, maybe not on the first experience, but like, cinema lives in perpetuity. Okay. That's freezing a moment in time. And if the dick isn't real, then maybe it's funny at first glance, but on a rewatch, it's not going to be funny anymore.
I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
You obviously don't understand dick theory.
I am not an expert in dick theory. I will be the first to admit. I just, again, it's this sort of accessibility all the time. It has nothing to do with a Monopoly study. Didn't you have a study about
Oh yeah, so there's one more I wanted to talk about called the Robbers Cave experiment.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this?
No.
Robbers Cave is a classic study in social psychology about group conflict, prejudice, and cooperation.
Okay.
It was conducted in 1954 by a man named Muzaffar Sharif.
Okay.
And his colleagues at the University of Oklahoma. So it was Muzaffar Sharif, O.J. Harvey, Jack White, and a couple other guys. It was run in Robbers Cave State Park, Oklahoma, with 22 boys ages 11 to 12, all from similar middle-class white Protestant backgrounds who didn't know each other before the study.
Okay.
Nothing creepy happens here that is logged, just so everyone's aware.
Okay.
Sounds like, we got a bunch of white boys together. But the boys were told that they were going to a summer camp, but it was actually a controlled field experiment on group dynamics. Sharif wanted to explore how intergroup conflicts developed, whether such conflict could be reduced through cooperation, and the roots of prejudice. Like, was it due to personality, that you're just prejudiced? Or does competition for limited resources, fuel
So he's trying to do a real-life Lord of the Flies.
Pretty much. That's actually a really great way to put it, because that's pretty close to what it is. But this became the foundation for realistic conflict theory, which states that conflict arises when groups compete for the same goals or rewards.
Did he just he should have done it a second time and just thrown one brown kid in there.
And one fat one with glasses. Nuts to your ass, ma. The 3 stages of the experiment were you had an in-group formation where the boys were split into 2 groups and at first were unaware of each other. Like the 2 groups didn't even know there was another group.
Okay.
Then each group bonded through normal camp activities. You know, like you have like the kids like, hey, you're going to go swimming, you're hiking, archery, yada, yada.
Right.
They chose group names. You know, we had one that was the Eagles and the other one was the Rattlers.
Cool.
And within each group, there was like this really strong ingrained loyalty. Like you'd get summer camp, you know, fucking bunch of boys at summer camp.
Yeah, you bond. We've got a name. We're all the fucking Eagles, man.
Obvious latent prepubescent homosexuality. You know, like it's just the summer camp.
Yeah, I get it.
Right? But they made flags and they had songs and shit and they did the whole deal. And then the researchers introduced competition between the groups. Started with like tug of war, baseball, treasure hunt, stuff like that. Prizes were given to the winners, you know, trophies and knives and medals. And as competition grew, so did hostility. I mean, this is the same thing you see between like sports fans, soccer hooligans,
hostility
like that.
between the 2 groups or hostility internally?
Between the 2 groups.
Okay.
So you had name calling, insults. There were fights. They started just like fighting each other. They raided each other's cabins. They tore up each other's flags. They refused to eat in the same room. The groups developed strong prejudice and group identity.
Wow.
Now, this is where it actually gets really cool, and this is what I'm really glad that we're going to close with this.
Mm-hmm.
At first, researchers tried non-competitive contact, like watching movies and eating together, to get the 2 groups to bond. Right, but it didn't help. The groups were still like super conflictory.
Okay.
Then they introduced superordinate goals. They were tasks that required cooperation to succeed.
Okay.
You know, there was fixing a broken water supply. Everyone needs water.
Right.
We need to work together to fix it.
Sure.
Pulling a truck that's stuck in the mud. One team wasn't strong enough to get it. We need the other team.
That makes sense.
You know, pooling money for a shared treat.
Nice.
Like, hey guys, you got a little pocket change? Throw it in. We're gonna get you know. Working together on shared problems reduced tension and hostility, and by the end, the groups were friends. They rode the same bus home, and they, you know, shared meals.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it just means that competition and conflict, like when groups compete for limited resources, is very prejudiced and hostile. And it just creates this, I think it's a very tribal mentality. Like,
and can be controlled is my takeaway. And I don't like that.
Yeah, you can easily, well, that's the Stanford prison experiment.
It can be manipulated and controlled.
All of the experiments we talked about thus far were about that. What this one states pretty clearly is that working towards shared goals reduces that conflict. Just literally working together makes people become friends.
Right. It makes people, because you identify your similarities versus focusing on your differences.
Yeah, and group identities form really quickly, even among strangers, when you're all working together. It's like,
most people have more things in common than they have differences, I feel like.
Have you ever seen like an accident on the freeway and stopped to help?
Yes.
The other people stop to help as well? Were there like more people there?
Sometimes.
So like I've done this a couple of times, and it's like you're immediately on a team.
Yeah.
You know? There's 3 of you or something.
Yeah, some random guy walks up when you're trying to...
At first, we were all kind of in competition. We're all fucking trying to get past each other. Mm-hmm. You're a fucking asshole in the red truck over there. Fuck you. And then you see like an accident, fender bender or something, and you pull over to see if everyone's okay. The other people that do that are on your team right away.
Right.
Like to the point that if they got in trouble right then, you'd help them. Because like you're all of a like mind. Yeah. It's that quick to form a tribe, essentially.
You're not wrong. That's a fucking solid takeaway for the end of this episode.
Yeah, there were some criticisms for the like ethical issues about like, you know, the boys being deceived and how like they had a complete lack of diversity, which I think is a very strong criticism for it.
I would agree.
But it also at the same time is sort of its strength too, because it eliminated...
It's a solid baseline.
It eliminated
I would say
a
that
form
needs
of
more
prejudice
studies.
From like expansion. If the baseline there, just like everyone from the same socioeconomic class, same race.
Right. Similar upbringing, yada, yada.
Also, although it felt real to the boys, it was still a staged environment. It does seem like possibly the closest you're going to come to a real world study,
just like the Monopoly study. Like how it's hard to do that study with real world. God damn it, I can't say real world.
Real world
with real world consequences. It's how do you do that? You have to do a microcosm.
Yeah,
and control it.
I think the biggest criticism for me there would be there is an ethical issue with deceiving the kids. But at the same time, if you want to do the study, that's the only way you're going to do the fucking study.
Yeah, that's if you tell them what's going on, then now you've fucked your whole study.
Of course, there would have to be an escalation of studies like this to get a real like feeling of it, and then you'd have to have different classes, different races, integrated groups,
different
introducing
socioeconomic
one
backgrounds.
black person to the group.
You got some poor poor black kids, you got some rich white kids, you got some poor white kids, you got some rich black kids, you throw some throw some Latinos and some Chinese people in the mix.
Well, you just got New York City.
Mix it up. I think that's a very cool experiment.
Yeah, I
personally.
think so too. I like that, and I do like that the resolution came with like a happy ending. But at the same time, we're talking about studies here, so you can't. Everything's got a grain of salt, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, I think that'll do it.
I think that will do it. If you like this episode, please get on whatever you're listening to. Give us 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a fucking review. It means so much. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment on the episode if you liked it. Again, look us up at Delete Everything Podcast on Instagram. You will find all the photos and cool shit that correlates with this episode and any other episode that you liked. And Patreon, man, get on there. Check us out. It's a fun time. You'll enjoy it. I promise you will. Every single person that joins our Patreon, like they very regularly will text. There's like chat within the Patreon.
Yeah, Mike's sending me like smutty letters and like partially revealing semi-nudes all the time.
That's awesome. You need that. And then YouTube. We've been kind of getting like more. We've implemented more of our shorts. A lot of the actually, I think pretty much all the shorts on our YouTube come from Patreon episodes. So you can get a little bit of a feel for what we're doing on Patreon if you watch those. They
No, see, pay first.
No,
pay first before you watch them.
You got to be. It's like a drug dealer, you know. You got to give them a little taste first, and then they come back for more.
I'm just saying, like, hey, let's get their $8 before they decide they don't want to see this shit.
By the way, if you join our Patreon and you fucking hate it, you can cancel. I mean, you're not like signing up for a membership. It's a monthly, and you can leave anytime you want. I don't think you'll want to, because you've got 50-something episode backlog and new episodes every single week. So it's pretty goddamn fun.
Anyway, Peony Virginie, thanks, guys.
Bye. See you next week. Bye.
I'm sore from hammering Carl all day.
Hey, you guys, welcome to Delete Everything Podcast. I'm Riley Bowen, and this is my co-host.
No, I got to do the metaphor.
Oh. This is Delete Everything Podcast, the family fun, fun for all ages.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Family activity that's sure to make you angry. Angry enough that, like, your fucking kids are going to probably remember how angry you got some years later when you're like, hey, let's play this game. And they're like, no. You remember the last time? Remember what you said to mom?